Awesome. We are recording and I'm sharing my screen. So, like always, we'll love to get feedbacks. There's a couple of things that I've been working on. There's a couple of things that I've been looking at. And thanks to Ahmed, he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey man, how about have you ever thought of creating a different format where you could write things down?" Obviously, I have the PDFs, which I do have, but I did have some issues with breaking my monitor, and it was something that I was looking forward to. But he approached me and he said, "Hey, would it be cool if we, recorded a screen, shared screen, show things left and right, and be able to present things?" And this is the new change. From now on, I will be presenting a lot of things. So we're gonna have these. This is called agile style, by the way. We're gonna go through this more in the should I say in the architect series where we're gonna be talking about coding and everything else. But this is agile style of formatting where you have everything in boxes and present it. So I'm just gonna go through this. Switch this off for a second. No, wait. Sorry, 1 second, guys. I'm just gonna pull this to the side for now. So this is it. This is the episode 2, the briefs, the 5 truths, and the 20 trade exercise that we talked about in the money mindset mastery, trading in the zone. And we have these beautiful agile style boards that we can go through. I've written down all of them and presented them very clearly. So we have 4 frameworks. We have the belief framework, we have the 5 fundamental truths, the 20 trade exercise, and the key takeaways from all of them, right? So this is very important. This one goes with what a brief actually is, right? What is a belief, right? So a belief is a concept plus the energy. We have discussed this. We have discussed how important the energy is in the things that we put and the difference between our mind and our emotions, because our thoughts are the language of our mind and our emotions are the language of our body. And it's very important, like laser precision, for us to have these intertwined together when we're working in the psychology and the energy together with a concept. So the concept is just words. The energy comes from lived emotions, experience. Without the energy, it's just a thought. It won't drive the behavior, right? So we have discussed that. And we had a very, very long previous one. So I'm glad that this one's going to be, the sum up of that, and people can read this and make it more not only understandable, but you perceive it differently when we were talking about this, and you can read it as well. So understanding does not equal belief. So you can read every psychology book ever written and still freeze at execution. Understanding is not a transformation, experience is transformation. So again, important key. Just because we understand something, it doesn't mean that we can truly tie it down to our belief system. Sure, we have correlations with it. That's what we were talking about, the concepts, but the energy is very important for an average person to execute on their trades. Because in the last one that I had here in the beginning, when I presented the 5 fundamental truths and the 5 problems, it turns out everybody was failing at all of them, which is great because we know what to look at and where to go, and why people freeze and just watch their trades play in front of them without them taking their trades. And again, we have belief resists change, right? So once energized, a belief filters incoming informations, right? So the belief filters the incoming information. Contradicting data gets blocked before it reaches conscious awareness. You think you're reading the market, you're reading your filter. We have discussed this. This is a great part of the book that also shows how interestingly our mind works when we are programmed to have different belief systems. And if we create new belief systems, the old ones don't die. They're still there. That's why you find yourself in situations where you could go through something, learn something new, and still find that old belief system creeping up after maybe even years or months at time, depending from a person to person, even after you've mastered this. Because the reality of our belief system is that the belief system never dies. We just need to have, again, back to the belief, which is not understanding, and back to the energy, which is very important. This concept is we need to have enough of new experiences to rewrite the old one so we don't go back to it. So we overwrite it and not reference ourselves with it, right? So you can't argue a belief out. Rational arguments don't override energized belief. The rational mind doesn't have authority over the belief system just because it has a good logic, right? And this is absolutely fundamental. I think this is one of those hidden key concepts in the book, and a great one, because again, we can have rational arguments. They won't change the energy you have put in. And if somebody here continuously loses his money over something, or some sort of trade or strategy or signal that he's following, or whatever it is that he's doing, no rational arguments will help there, because the emotion is the one that talks all the time and pulls scarcity, and it cannot be overwritten, right? So that's why we have to have the activation, the belief change, through new repeated experiences, not arguments. The old belief system doesn't disappear, it loses energy, like I have elaborated here, and becomes inert, right? So the new belief fills the space, and we have active contradictions, holding two conflicting beliefs simultaneously with energy behind both. Let me see, maybe I can zoom in. I don't know if it's easy to read, sorry. Holding two conflicting beliefs simultaneously with energy behind both. Behavior reflects whichever has more energy in that moment. That is why execution is inconsistent day to day. Very important. Now, this is the first pillar, and this is the one that leads to the fundamental truth. Let me just see if anybody wrote anything. Oh, Nico was here. Hey, Nico. So the reason why this is important is because we have the five truths. I'm just going to read them out loud super fast. Guys, is this good zoomed out, or should I zoom in? Can you read this when I'm sharing my screen, or? So we've talked about this one. You remember we had a whole 15-minute session where we're talking, and we've discussed literally this little part. A string of three losses tells you nothing about trade four. Individual outcomes are strategically independent. The edge operates at the sample level, not the trade level. So this is very important for those who didn't follow through or didn't read the book. If you are having 100 trades and you know that your win rate is, let it be 65%, we will not know if the trades we're taking, we don't know the order, the sample rate of it. It could happen that the first 45% of them are a failure. And this is where people get frustrated. They're like, oh, I had 5 trades this week and all 5 of them were bad. Well, it's just a sample rate. We don't know what's going to happen next. That's why the truth 2 is very important, right? And the truth 4, an edge is a higher probability, nothing more. Nothing is a prediction, not a guarantee, not something the market owes you, just a shift in odds. Losing trades are part of a working edge, not evidence that it's broken. Absolutely love this part. And the fifth one, truth 5, moment. Every moment is unique. The traders creating today's pattern are never the same people who created the similar one before. Memory matches it. Memory matching is a liability in markets. Read the present, not the past. Absolutely. And when all 5 are functional beliefs, no irrational exceptions, no need for certainty, losses feel normal. Each signal is treated as probability only. Each moment reads fresh. And the 4 fears evaporate, not through willpower, but through the remover of their source, right? This is very important, especially how we remove the old belief system. We have discussed this here and in the previous one, and the fundamental truths are basically installed via the 20 trade exercise, and this is why we have discussed the concept of what a belief is, and belief is the concept plus the energy that we input in, which is very important for us to go through so that we can, teach ourselves new memories and new experiences. For example, Manuel here, hopefully he's going to present some of his work next week here with us in Money Mindset Mastery. He's one of those people who went through it, who went through losing trades and then coming to a certain streak of making a lot of trades. And the reason why he succeeded at that is because he had a belief framework. He understood the fundamental truth, which the belief led him to the fundamental truths. And once he installed them via his trading experience, He came there, and this is the 20 trade experience, which I want everyone to go through. This is very important. The step one is choose a system. Objective, clear, defined criteria. No ambiguity about when a signal is present or absent. Subjective criteria. Invite the mind's filters back in. There we go, right? And step two, know the expectancy. Back test, right? So back testing is very important. Establish win rate and average win-loss ratio when you need something concrete to trust at the micro level, when individual trades go against you, right? There is something that you need to have to trust, right? There is some kind of confluence that you need to go through to establish your win rate and your average win to loss ratio. And then step three, predefined risk per trade, right? Size must be emotionally acceptable even for all 20 losses in a row, right? So if losing all 20 feels catastrophic, you're too large, reduce it until it doesn't, and use whatever sum if needed. The point is the experience, not the money. So with these 20 trade examples that we're taking, I want everybody here to go through 20 trades, and we shall probably create like a page where we can all take part in it together, and we will have a rational size that it's not going to hurt anyone, even if all those 20s are lost, so that we can go through this together, so that we can go through the framework, see the 5 fundamental truths, and install them via the 20 trade exercise. And the next one is step 5, execute all 20, no exceptions, no skipping, no midstream modification, no size changes, no every occurrence, same criteria, same size, same plan, very mechanical, very consistent, and zero deviation from the plan that we're going to create. And step 6, evaluate after 20, not before 20, right? 20 trade is the atom, that's the end. Individual traders are subatomic, too small to analyze, so it's pointless, and evaluating a trade at the 7th is just the old belief system looking for an exit, because you have 7 losses but you could have 13 wins, which would bring much more money. So what does this reveal? This especially the last one, but all of them, the difficulty completing this exercise is proportional to internal conflicts, right? It's whatever you're conflicting with inside of yourself. Where assistance appears equals what needs to change, not a failure but a map, right? And this results, I'm just going to read the result before I invite Ahmed to the stage to share his key points as well with the things that he have learned. And these are the key takeaways that I want everyone to go through. Just remember, I want us all to go through these 20 trade exercise here, and I'm gonna invite Ahmed to share his experience and what he has been inspired. So the core loop, right? Experience. We're experiencing something new. So what are we experiencing? Well, first of all, we have a new belief system that we're working here with Money Mindset Mastery, and we're also reading a lot of books. That's why we created the book club, so that we can learn from other professional traders and create those 5 fundamental truths. And now we're going to install these truths and these frameworks via the trading exercise. So that is the experience. So that's the new energy, and we have new concepts which become belief, and belief changes behavior automatically, right? Not through effort, but through experience. And the casino versus the gambler, again from the book, the casino loses hands and it doesn't care. It knows the edge is real and the sample is large enough that the state, the exercise builds towards, right? So they will always make money. Why most people stop here? They understand the 5 truths, they agree with them, they feel internalized, then they trade and discover that understanding, internalizing are completely different things, right? So the sequence is the philosophy. You know me, I love to philosophize. So what are you building? What are you building? The 5 truths. What's the finished structure? What does the finished structure look like? And the exercise, the construction progress, right? You can't skip construction. This is very important. You can't live in the blueprint. And the assignment is to define your system, define your 20 sample trades that we're going to take, set risk per trade at an emotionally manageable size. And the reason why we do this is, the reason why I wrote here emotionally manageable size is because if the sum is insignificant, your emotions are not going to activate. And this is exactly what we want. So we're going to execute all 20 of them. Notice when resistance appears, and the resistance is the information. And in the next episode, the subjective stance, what trading looks like when the mechanical foundation is really built. Again, discretion from the stability versus fear from the zone, the book, right? And that's basically all I had presented for you guys today. I hope you really like this. Please drop those comments down in the chat. I wanna I wanna read it. I wanna go through it. And let me invite here. Let me invite Ahmed. 1 second. Ahmed, can you click on the stage thingy? Oh, you did. Wait. Yeah, but I don't see it. You have to click it again. There we go. Hey, buddy, say something.
All right. All right, guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So basically, most trading books teaches you setups, indicators, patterns. However, this book teaches you why none of that matters if your head's broken. So Mark Douglas basically spent 17 years coaching pro traders. His conclusion was brutal. Analysis is basically not the bottleneck. The way you think about the market is. Now, I've read this book twice. Today I'm going to actually break down why this book is the closest thing to a psychological operating system for traders that exists. And actually what changed in how I trade after I stopped skimming the book and actually living it. Now, let's start with number one, the problem. Why most traders lose. Emotional decision making destroys edge. So basically when you want to start taking trades, enter long, short, or whatever, and you have this emotional decision in your trade, it's actually going to destroy your edge. It is not going to let you know your edge when you start trading a lot. Why? Because you're trading based on emotional decisions. So Douglas basically opens with a question that should sting every trader watching. Why do most traders lose? Even after they learn to read chart, even after they learn technical analysis and trend lines, support resistance, they still lose. His answer, the one he hammers for around 200 pages, is this. The human mind is wired in a way that is fundamentally incompatible with how markets actually work. So markets are basically random at the individual trade level, probabilistic, and indifferent to your analysis, your bias, and your need to be right. So normal retail traders, they think market is predictable. You don't need to predict the market. You just need to play it as in terms of probabilities. They also have the need to be right. Now this is the problem here. Every beginner trader or retail trader, they have this need to be right. You don't need to be right in order to make money. You just need to know what other people don't know. Now the third thing, they trade with fear and hesitation. Now I actually suffered from this a lot. And when I used to open trades on my live account, I used to have this fear of, oh, what if this trade hits my stop loss? What if it doesn't go well? How can I make the money back? Just stop thinking and trade with confidence. They are inconsistent despite trade setup. So basically you have a setup, you have a system, you have your rules. They don't stick to it. They're basically inconsistent. Oh, they find another strategy. I wanna actually try a different strategy from this person that I like. No, stick to your own system. Stick to the system that you are comfortable with. So the gap basically between knowing what to do and doing it, that's the whole game. And Douglas argues that gap doesn't close through more screen time, more indicators, or more setup. It closes through belief change, like what Shem said. It's not about having a lot of indicators, having a lot of support resistance lines, trend lines, Fibonacci's. That's why we always say keep your charts simple, because the more simple it is, the more actually you will get more information from the chart. Now, another thing, the shift, the truth about the market. You don't know what happens next, and you actually don't need to, because why? Because market is random distributions of outcomes. It either can pump, dump, or whatever, or be in a range. You actually don't need to know what could happen next. You just need to analyze based on the data that you have. You don't need to predict. Any trade can win or lose. If you enter, let's say, 5 trades, maybe all of these 5 trades loses because maybe you did something wrong, or like, let's say, for example, me, I lost 3 trades in the past 2 days. However, I followed my system. That doesn't mean my system is bad. No, it's just market didn't agree with me. That's it. Edge plays out over series, not single trades. That's why Shem here had this 20 trade thingy, because it's not about only 5 to 7 trades. No, you need a lot of trades. You need a lot of data. You need to have this feedback in order to actually know what is going right and what is going wrong. Now, I'm going to also talk about the 5 fundamental truths, but more deeper. So basically, Shem laid out everything here, but I'm going to be like more specific. Now, first thing, anything can happen. Why? Because it only takes one trader anywhere on earth to negate your edge. It doesn't matter how clean your trend line break is. It doesn't matter how much volume confirmed it. There are unknown forces in every market at every moment. Now, accept this and you stop feeling betrayed when a textbook setup fails. You don't need to know what happens next to make money. This is actually really important. And this one's a gut punch for most traders. We think edge means prediction. It doesn't. What does edge mean is basically it is a higher probability of one outcome over another played repeatedly. Now, the casino doesn't predict your hand. It just runs the math and lets the sample size do the work. Number 3, there's a random distribution between wins and losses. Even with a 70% win rate, you can hit 5 losses in a row. That's not the system breaking. That's the random distribution doing what random distributions do. If you tilt off a losing streak, you never had a system. You had hope wearing a costume. Now, number 4, an edge is nothing more than a higher probability of one thing happening over another. That's it. Not a guarantee, not a prediction, just an indication. Once you accept this, you stop gathering extra evidence before pulling the trigger. Now, if your edge criteria are present, you take the trade, period. Internalize this. Once you actually study this and take this, you will have emotional freedom. Now, why do you still fail? Because you have a fear of losing. You enter a trade and you start overthinking, what if I lost this money? What's going to happen next? Oh, should I exit this trade early? I'm like 20% up in profits. Should I close the trade fully? No, just forget about it and stop fearing. Just go ahead, talk to the fear emotion and tell them, okay, thank you for everything, thank you for protecting me, but I don't need you anymore. Leave me alone. I can handle this alone. You need to be right. This is the second time I repeat this. You don't need to be right. You don't need to be right to make money in the market. Now, this one's very important. Revenge trading. I did this a lot. I lost money a lot. Probably everyone here did this and they lost money. When you lose a trade, your mind starts thinking that you need to make So basically what you do, you enter another trade after you lost a trade because of emotional decisions and you lose more money. That's revenge trading. So how to actually not be in this scenario and revenge trade is to actually just after a loss, just close your laptop, get out of the house if you need to be, and just forget about it. It's just money. Money comes and goes. Overconfidence after a win. Don't be overconfident after a win. This happened to me. I became euphoric and I started saying to myself that I'm one of the best traders in the world and that I know how to trade. Boom. The next day I lost 25 grand. So don't be overconfident, don't be euphoric. But at the same time, I'm not saying don't be confident at all. No, you need to be confident, you need to be brave in your systems and setups, but you need to have this balance. You override your system. You have a system, why break the rules? Like you have specific rules for your system, why break them? Don't break your rules. Maybe they don't work like let's say for example you entered the trade on your new system, okay, and you lost it and you start changing the rules. No, you need to test it. You need to test it for like 50, 60, 100, 500 trades to actually know if this works or not, and then you start tweaking it. Now the solution, number 5. What is the solution? Thinking in probabilities. Start thinking in probabilities. Market can go up, market can go down, market can boom, can bust, anything can happen. So start thinking in probabilities. Accept risk before entering. Let's say, for example, I entered a short position. I had a $500 margin with 10x leverage. If my stop loss hits, I'm going to lose $200. If my TP hits, I'm going to make $500 to $600. What I do is basically say, okay, these $200 are already deducted from my portfolio. That's how you stop thinking about the trade. And next thing you know, you open your charts, you open your exchange, and boom, your trade hit TP. Why? Because you stopped thinking about it. Execute without hesitation. This happened to me a lot, and I talked to it with Shem a lot, that I see a setup and I just hesitate on entering and it plays out exactly how I wanted it to play out. Why? Because I basically hesitated. And when you hesitate while taking trades, you're never going to make money. No emotional attachment to outcome. We talked about this in the past couple of streams. Stop thinking about the outcome. Focus on the process, focus on the input. The outcome is just nothing, it's just money. You don't need the outcome. Like, of course you need the money, but don't focus on it. It's gonna come. If you focus on the inputs, if you focus on your development of how to read charts, how to actually control your emotions while trading, the money's gonna come. Judge yourself on execution, not results. When you take trades, when you journal trades, and when you want to reread them, you don't reread the profit and loss. You go ahead and reread your trade thesis, your execution. How did you execute the trade? Your job is to execute edge flawlessly, without hesitation, without overconfidence, without emotional decision making, nothing, just systematized. Now the last thing is the zone. The zone, this is like one of the most important things. This is when you actually mastered it. You need to be calm, detached, and focused. When you enter a trade, don't enter a trade after you have been fighting with your family, your spouse, your friends, or anything. You need to be calm. Don't enter a trade before you have an English exam, like what I did. A couple of months ago, I had an English exam. I was stressed, and then boom, I entered the trade. I lost the trade. Why? Because I was stressed. You need to be detached from everything. Detached emotional, detached from the outer environment, your portfolio, the money. Just focus on the charts, focus on the system. No fear, no euphoria. You need to have balance. No overconfidence, and no fear, no like being, like you understand, like not being fearful of the outcome. Trust your systems over feelings. Let's say you wanted to enter another trade. You don't enter a trade based on your gut feeling. Oh, I have a gut feeling that this will dump or this will pump. You're going to lose money on that. You have a system, follow the system. That's it. It's easy. Consistency comes from discipline, not prediction. You need to have discipline in order to be consistent. This is why 99% of traders or 95% of traders lose, because they're not consistent. They just quit after 1 month. So basically, consistency is not a skill, it's an identity. You don't try to be a consistent trader any more than you try to be someone who brushes their teeth. It's just who you are. And the only way you become that person is by executing the principles long enough, through enough losing trades. You need to fail in order to win. That's it. This is how life works. You need to accept it. Douglas, if you read the whole book, Trading in the Zone, Douglas actually closes with a golf analogy that I like. He says becoming a consistent trader is like hitting 10,000 golf balls. You're not playing the tournament. You're not trying to win. You're just grooving the swing until the swing is automatic. That's the work. Markets aren't going to change. The only variable in the equation is you. Read it, reread it, and trade it. Thank you guys for watching this. This is everything that I wanted to share, and thank you, Shem, for everything you have shared. It's probably like quite similar because at the end it's the same book. So our information about the book is basically the same. So thank you, Shem, for everything. And guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And Shem, go ahead.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking your time. I really appreciate it. I really like your excitement, and as I've said many times here, I always encourage people when they feel as excited and influenced like Ahmed does. You know, guys, if you want to go through your interpretation of the book, go for it. If you feel like you want to step aside and create some extra work with your own personal experience and how you perceived it, like Ahmed has here, you know, that's a great way to go. We spend a lot of hours trading in the lounge, and we have done yesterday as well, where Ed made 2 calls while we were there. And one of the reason is that because we actually go through everything that's written in the book. That's why, for example, whatever Ahmed has shown, I wouldn't say it's the same in the essence. The core and the essence of the things that we went through is obviously the same because we're reading the same books here, so we're presenting the same things, but we have written different things. I mean, we can't change the truths of the book, so they obviously the truths are going to be the same. But it's very important to see people enthusiastically understanding this concept like Ahmed does here. And again, in the lounge where we go through it and we sit and we think and we even go through the analysis of each individual person